Welcome to Ian Canelias TV. Before we start, I invite you to subscribe this channel and please click the notification bell. Thank you.
On Senator Legarda's stance that the CPP-NDF is not an enemy of the state, ayon po kay Senator Lacson, who said, "I could not agree more with the statement of the NTF-LCAC. Senator Legarda is a friend and I respect her opinion, but I cannot for the life of me agree with her stance apparently articulated by her statement that the CPP-NDF is not an enemy of the state. Simply put, an armed terrorist group already designated not only by the government of the Republic of the Philippines but also by the European Union, the United States of America, and 4 other countries: Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, New Zealand, is unequivocally an enemy of the state. That being said, any attempt to amend the Anti-Terrorism Act is a disrespect to our comrades in arms, as well as the countless civilians who fell victims of the atrocities of this terrorist group that has lost its ideological principles over the years. They murder, they rob, they extort, they harass and intimidate, and worse, indiscriminately. Having authored and sponsored and almost single-handedly defended the legislative measure in the Senate plenary as well as in the battle of the public opinion in many fora and including the media, I will not hesitate to be part of the opposition to thwart moves to amend this law in its substantive form, which no less than the Supreme Court has declared as constitutional." The NTF-LCAC statement for reference: "We, the Filipino people, do not share the objectives, vision, and dreams of the CPP-NDF for our country. Our democratic and republican form of government, as well as our constitution and our laws, share nothing in common with the CPP-NDF. Do not confuse your personal biases favoring the CPP-NDF and their allied front organizations as the collective manifestation of will by the Filipino people. The CPP-NDF is a designated terrorist organization not only in our country but in several other countries. Feigning ignorance on this matter will not cushion the impact of your open admission of support to the CPP-NDF, a designated terrorist organization, stripped bare of its flowery semantics and attempts to water down the very obvious manifestation of solidarity with the CPP-NDF. You are basically saying that the CPP-NDF and its allied front organizations believe in social justice and has uplifted the people from poverty to decades without bearing arms. Senator Legarda, the CPP-NDF is a terrorist organization. The atrocities committed by the terrorist organization has caused untold misery, suffering, economic loss, and senseless death for decades. We believe that you know this unless you find these acts consistent with the CPP-NDF's definition of social justice. This is not the social justice that we want to give to our people. Your sugar-coated pronouncements basically tell us that you do not consider the CPP-NP-NDF terrorist organization as an enemy of the state. If the CPP-NPA-NDF is not an enemy of the state, then be informed that the government of the Republic of the Philippines consider them as enemies not only of the state but of the Filipino people. The military establishment that you say you are proud to be a member of also consider the CPP-NPA-NDF as the enemy of the peace and security of this country. The CPP-NPA-NDF is responsible for the death and injuries of thousands of your colleagues in the armed services of this country. To openly declare that the CPP-NPA-NDF is not an enemy of the state is to dishonor the memory of and the sacrifice of our brave men and women who have offered their lives in our country's fight to attain a just and lasting peace by ending the CPP-NPA-NDF terrorist organization. We do not apologize for labeling the CPP-NPA-NDF as a terrorist organization. History has judged the CPP-NPA-NDF as one of the most prolific and most devious criminal organizations ever to sow terror on a nationwide scale. The list of crimes and their innocent victims span across half a century. The deception and its web of lies still rear its ugly head even until today. The extent of its allies and network of supporters never fail to amaze us. As the CPP-NPA-NDF marches on toward the twilight, it desperately tries to grasp at straws, forcing their few remaining allies to surface and hasten to its aid. You, Senator Loren Legarda, may have been forced by circumstance to reveal the last cards you hold close to your chest. Now, you want the anti-terror law to be reviewed? And for whose benefit, Senator Legarda, for the CPP-NPA-NDF, whom you said you admired mainly because you have worked with them in the past. If that's the case, Senator Legarda, we remind you, the CPP-NPA-NDF is the enemy of the state and of the Filipino people. Otherwise stated, do you want the anti-terror law reviewed for the sake of the enemies of the state? That would be inimical to the state. That would be a betrayal of your oath of office. Your proposal to review the anti-terror law is definitely not for the good of the Filipino people. At some point in your political career, Senator Legarda, you must make that most difficult choice of doing what is right at the expense of trying to please everyone. The war on terror does not allow public servants like us the convenience of remaining neutral. It's either we lead the war against terror or be willing enablers of terrorism by alliance or by apathy, that is by simply doing nothing. How do you want history to judge you, Senator Legarda? That's the opinion of former Senator Lacson.
Hello everyone, thank you for watching this video. Kung hindi pa po nakapag-subscribe sa channel na ito, please subscribe and please click the notification bell. At panoorin nyo pa po ang iba nating mga video. Maraming salamat po.